Hey everyone, Cynics here. So put down that hamburger because I have some new monthly inspirations for July 2015. Now, it's a little hard to sum up just what the theme is for this episode, but the two artists I'm going to feature were both heavily inspirational during, I don't know, my most inspired time. So these are the artists that inspired me possibly the most when I was just kind of really getting into art. And they were both very active on the conceptart.org boards and the massive black workshops. So I got to watch them work in person and, see all that amazing stuff, see their demos, and I really love their work. So, anyway, the first artist I'm going to show you guys is going to be Wesley Burt. In my mind, Wesley Burt always kind of encompassed the idea of the child prodigy, or whatever you want to say, this naturally just kind of talented, even though this is pretty inaccurate in my head. That's the way I always saw him, was this young guy who was extremely talented, went to all the finest art schools, got really good training, and just became, this unstoppable artist. And I would say he's most notable, at least in his early days to me, for being an amazing kind of graphite, pencil, whatever you want to say, renderer. And his sketchbooks are just immaculate. I feel like each page is a work of art where like the layouts are kind of weird and overlapping, but there's this harmony that just happens on each page where they just kind of mesh together, and he has this weird artistic vision that just comes through in every single page he ever draws. So I love his work absolutely, and he actually, unbeknownst to him, exposed me to a lot of really good music too. I always looked up to him in terms of taste and things because I always thought he was like such a cool guy. But anyway, he's gone on to become a great artist in the entertainment industry. He's worked on a lot of games and I think movies. And he's also done a lot of Magic the Gathering art. So just all the high points that you want to hit if you want to be like a really cool artist. I love following him on Instagram because his sketches he posts there are still just as amazing as they always have been. And a little fun fact about Wesley Burt that you guys might not know is that he is actually the main character of the old video game Gun. It was a late era Xbox, early era Xbox 360 game, and the main character is him. He worked on it and they just made him the character. So that's fun. He's in a video game, I guess, kind of. So, carrying on with the whole theme of conceptart.org workshop, whatever. The next artist I'm going to show you guys is a friend of Wesley's, and that is going to be Marko Djordjevic. I hope I said that right. I always kind of mess up, interesting names. Marko Djordjevic, he was also a kind of very active conceptart.org person. I saw him at the workshop. Once again, just like Wesley, he has this amazing kind of pencil rendering style. But the main difference is he kind of represented this polar opposite of Wesley, where Wesley was this very trained, schooled artist, and Marko was kind of, coming out a bit older, but completely self-taught. And that alone was a huge inspiration to me, obviously, as a self-taught artist, to see another self-taught artist that just reached such great heights and kept me going. And, it's kind of interesting when I say motivated and going, because one of my main memories of Marko was being on the board, and I remember him posting a thread about quitting art, and he was thinking about, moving on, just didn't want to do it. And this was before he had as much success as he's found since then. This was long before he started doing work for the entertainment industry. So, it was very interesting to see because I looked up to him so much and he was so questioning about his art career. But then I also got to see all of his friends and all the other artists just come by to support him and be like, no, artists stick together, all this fun stuff. And I don't know why it sticks out in my head so much. But anyway, he went on to do a lot of interesting personal projects. He redesigned like He-Man characters, and he did this whole redesign of X-Men characters. And I think it was these two projects kind of put together that gave him enough this publicity to actually get noticed by Marvel. And because of these fan arts, he actually got a job as a cover artist and just a general Marvel artist. And the work he has done for Marvel has been amazing. I think the best Marvel covers of the past whatever years are all his. His work is just stands out to me above most other artists. it fits that Marvel comic book style in a way that's better than I think they expect it to fit. I don't know. It's like he's improved the Marvel style, and when I think of what the like kind of a comic book cover style should look like, I always think of Marco. But anyway, I always liked Marco. He looked like a kind of super cool, maybe like 80s Karate Kid endgame villain or something. And it was always fun to see him and see his work. So I think that's going to be it for my two artist inspirations. I hope they can inspire you to even just a little bit as much as they inspired me, because that carried me through so much artwork when I was starting out. And I think the little bonus thing that I actually want to talk about today, now that I reminisce about Marco and Wesley, is the whole idea of workshops in general. Because, a lot of times people ask me, how did you get good, over a short period of time? They always talk about the 6 months or year period where I went from like being, just kind of starting out to being, getting job offers. And it was following a workshop. That just the inspiration of seeing great artists in person is something that can't be beat. So, in that spirit, luckily I have a good friend who's been hosting a lot of demo workshops just locally. So I'm hoping that becomes like a more common thing. I did one a couple weeks ago and it was a lot of fun, just doing art in person, interacting with other artists, kind of doing demonstrations of what your views are in person. So I personally am absolutely in love with the idea. And there's actually going to be another one coming up in a couple weeks, and it is going to be a 3D demo by a friend of mine. And he goes by the name Don Don. He does a lot of kind of renderings for video game stuff. He's done a lot of like Dota 2, he's done stuff at ArenaNet. I think he's working for Blizzard right now. It's just a lot of video game stuff, and he's really good at this rendering 3D stuff. So I'm looking forward to watching it. And if you guys are in the Southern California area and you have any interest whatsoever in 3D stuff, I think it'll be a lot of fun to check out. So I'm going to post a link to the meetup where you guys can all join. And, if you're in the area, come check it out. And as a special bonus, I'm going to go back to posting a 3DS image here. And this one is actually going to be one of Don Don's models. I strongly recommend, if you have a 3DS, whip it out, scan this little QR code, and check out some awesome 3D image. I think it's my favorite one yet. Maybe because it looks like Dota 2 was on your 3DS and super fancy graphics. But anyway, I better wrap this up. So thank you guys for watching and have a very inspired July.